We're here today with Dr. Brent Symes of Symes Chiropractic. Doctor, tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay. We're a family-owned chiropractic office that focuses on family and kids. When we first got into business, we stuck mainly with sports and chiropractic, but since our own kids were born a few years back, we really decided to focus more on families, especially since we noticed a trend in healthcare nowadays that it seems like a lot of kids are going the wrong direction as far as their health goes. So we want to have a positive impact on that. And so we've chosen that direction, and we're reaching out to our community to try and do that.
Okay, and Doctor, how did you get started?
So when I graduated school, I actually was an associate for about a year, so I worked for somebody else. And then once I decided I needed to be my own boss, I was lucky enough to come across the practice that I now own was actually a practice for sale in downtown Edmonds. So I was able to purchase the practice and take on that clientele. When I first got in practice, my first week, I think I saw 22 people, but that's coming from a practice where we saw over 300 patient visits in a week. So I was a little unsure on what I did, but I just stuck with it. And within, I'd probably say about 3 months, we doubled that, and the trend just continues. So it was a little rocky when I first started, especially coming from an established practice, to get into my own and see such a small number of people. But, you know, it's like any other business. You put some work into it, it turns around.
What was one of your biggest challenges when you first started this business, and how you overcame that?
Actually getting over my own fear. You know, some people have certain comfort levels, I guess. And one thing I've learned over the past, 8 years that I've been in practice on my own is you got to get out of that little comfort zone, which they think is the comfort zone, but really until you get out of it, that's where the comfort lies, because you're actually growing, right? So my biggest fear was, oh my gosh, can I actually do this? When I was working for somebody else, it's pretty comfortable because you're in an established practice, you have an income coming in, but when you decide I'm going to do this on my own, then all of a sudden you're the one that's responsible for all the income, all that kind of stuff. So once I got past that, then it was just a matter of, I guess, getting people to come in on a consistent basis. And then how do you drum up referrals from that? So that's when you have to, or at least for me, what I did is ended up getting a little bit more involved in community, as well as like chamber, networking groups, all that sort of stuff. So I could meet more people so that we have more opportunity for that referral, because we are a referral-based business. And so
in that regards, what are maybe 2 or 3 tips that you could talk about for future entrepreneurs starting out in business?
Well, first one is don't be afraid to make that step, because you'll surprise yourself. Number 2, I would suspect leaning on friends, family, or contacts you have in the community and ask for advice, ask for, next steps, things like that. And third, I don't know, the biggest thing I think gets a lot of businesses when they first start is you can't get comfortable. So that's the one thing that I've always noticed is as soon as you get comfortable, that momentum which you've built really doesn't last. It starts to lag, and then you got to rev up the engines and go again. So if you can not let yourself get in that comfort zone where you're just going to tail off, but keep constantly pushing, I think that's the other thing. So you always have to motivate yourself. That's the biggest part of it. The biggest thing that I think I've learned over the last 8 years is what it really boils down to, at least for me, is what kind of impact I can make within my community or the city that I live.